Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunana. Now, in this show, we talk about everything under the sun. And tonight's show, entitled Reflections on the State of the Nation, we are going to talk about the situation in the country today. Now, in the last few months, the country has been hit by numerous successive major calamities, floods, typhoons, and the devastating earthquake that hit the Visayas region a few days ago. And also, political crises, starting with alleged election fraud, to the crisis in Zamboanga, to the crisis in South China Sea, and the biggest crisis of them all, the pork barrel controversy. Now, all these things put together are bringing many people to ask themselves questions like, where is the country going? What is going to happen to us? Why does it seem that fate seems to have it so bad for the Philippines? Joining us now are a couple of very distinguished guests to talk about this issue with us. First is a very distinguished lady, Ms. Evelyn Kilaiko, and she's the chairperson of Tanggulang Demokrasya. Good evening, Ms. Kilaiko. Welcome to Philippines Uncut.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. And joining her is someone who's been on the show before, Mr. Danilo Olivares, a co-chairman of the Movement Against Political Dynasties, or MAD. Let's get mad. Good evening, Mr. Olivares. Welcome to Philippines Uncut.
Yes.
Okay, so the start of the program, we showed some very powerful images of what happened in Bohol. And really talaga nakakayak ko yung nangyari sa Bohol dahil nasira talaga yung ating maraming cultural heritage ang nasira doon po. Ano pong inyong mga reflection tungkol sa nangyari sa Bohol po?
Well, you summarized it very well, Buddy, no? Yung mga floods and typhoons, earthquake, no? Churches, century-old churches being collapsing, no?
Nakakayak.
Ito siguro, I can see the hand of God here. No? God is telling us, hey, Filipinos, no? The only Christian, Catholic country in Asia, better shape up. Imagine, never unheard of before yung mga avalanche, yung mga landslide. And now, in north of Luzon, in Mindanao, landslide, Why? Because man is denuding the forest.
Yes, yes.
So, talagang, what you mentioned are all natural as well as man-made calamities. Sino may kasalanan? Tao.
Yes,
Tao.
yes.
So, God is telling us something here.
Yes. Ms. Kilaiko, on your end, you're the chairperson of Tanggulang Demokrasya. Ano po what is Tanggulang Demokrasya about?
Tanggulang Demokrasya, as the name implies, means defense of democracy. So our vision is we are people, we group together people who passionately love their country, And it's actually a coalition of different groups. We're maybe around 16 groups in the coalition. And we started with what happened in 2010.
Okay.
We were
You're
convinced.
talking about the elections.
I'm talking about the elections. We were convinced that there was something wrong with the 2010 elections, and we tried to do something about it, hoping that it will not happen again. But to our dismay, it happened again in 2013.
You're talking about cheating.
About the cheating, yes,
Okay.
of course, the fraud that happened in the elections. And we feel that all these things that are happening now, the basic origin is our electing of the people, or the kind of leaders that we have now.
Yes.
You know, with the pork barrel controversy, it's because we don't know how to choose our leaders. And even if we want to choose the right leaders that we want, it's the machine that's choosing for us, which is very, very disgusting and very frustrating on our part, because we've been fighting for this for the last 3 years already.
Yes.
And we have another election coming. And I think all these things that are happening is happening because we don't listen to our conscience. And God is telling us something. And all these calamities, these are all wake-up calls that we
Yes.
have better straighten our act.
Yes. Alam niyo, Mr. Alvarez, I said nga that we seem to be jumping from one frying pan into, not into the fire, into another frying pan. I mean, calamity after calamity, controversy after controversy, nangyari sa Zamboanga, nangyari yung pork barrel, nangyari yung South China Sea problem. What's happening?
And getting worse, no?
Yes.
Getting worse. I mean, yung mga calamities, palaki ng palaki, you know? To the point na this one, itong huling earthquake, really took the cake, no? Imagine, Bohol is our second biggest tourist attraction, both for local and foreign tourists. And now it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Talagang wiped out. No? So, it's getting worse, and I'm really afraid that one day God may say, ayaw niyo makinig, then I will do something worse to make you listen, to make you change your ways.
Yes.
Di ba? And this pork barrel corruption, again, it's unprecedented. Unprecedented. Do you know, buddy, that in 1997, this pork barrel was already a big issue. Front page, landed in the front pages of major newspapers.
Yes.
And yet, that was 1997, 16 years ago. And up to now, we were not alarmed or we were not even talking about it, angry about it, until now, itong Napoles scam, no? And again, I think it's we can see the hand of God here, because it was by accident that the scam became a big scandal in our country.
Yes. But, talking about the pork barrel, this issue has been alive since the time of the first Aquino administration. It's still called CDF, the Countryside Development Fund. And people were already complaining about it back then. Bakit hindi natin matapos itong problema ito? Bakit hanggang ngayon nananatili pa itong problema ng pork barrel sa bayan natin? How come? Where's the anger? As you said, 97, two almost 3 decades, right? And we have gone by, and yet, ayan pa rin yung problema.
And in fact, it is not even law, no? It's just that Congress and the executive and the legislative branches agreed to have this budget, and that's it, no? So that it was not even in part of our constitution or our law, no? And because of that, the Congress as well as the president can just strike it off just like that
If they want to.
Yeah, if they want to, no? And yet it has not been done. And I don't think they would want to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. How about you?
I think that all of us Filipinos should support the call of CBCP, Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. They're not only for the abolition of the pork barrel of the legislative, but also from down to the barangay level.
Yes.
I didn't realize there is also pork
Oh,
there.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it should be all pork. No
Alam niyo po, sa Quezon
exception.
City, yung mga barangay councilors,
Yes.
even councilors in Kansas City, they get, this is on record, 38 to 42 billion pesos each per year.
Yeah.
Councilor.
Yeah, councilors.
And especially, of course, the pork of the president.
Which is how much, does anyone know how much is the
Like
exact
a
number?
trillion.
Yeah, it's in trillion.
In the
Nobody
trillion,
knows. Nobody
yeah.
knows exactly how much. No?
And you know, people don't realize that with what happened in the Corona trial, what was done by the executive was really criminal. Bribing the senators so that they vote for what they wanted to come
That's
out.
what some people are alleging, that money was given, like Senator Jingo Estrada,
Yeah.
in his
Yes.
privileged speech said that 50 million was given
Yeah.
as a
And it's
form
quite
of payment.
obvious.
Yes.
It's obvious, no matter how they deny it, it's very obvious that it was really given as a bribe. And that's criminal.
Obvious because the three who voted against the impeachment
We're
never
not-
got a
we're
single
not given.
centavo.
Pero
Yes.
sabi naman ni President Aquino, how can it be a bribe if the disbursement happened after the fact?
Eh kasi, syempre, if you are giving the bribe, you won't see and you won't pay until you see the result, no?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yes, parang success based.
Yeah.
If it happened that way.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
what I feel sad about this pork barrel thing because a lot of people, especially in the provinces, still do not understand the ramification of this pork barrel. Sinasabi lang, oh, yan yung mga taxes na binabayad ng mga yayaman na ninanakaw ng mga politicians. Sige na, never mind, hindi ako involved dyan. No? Hindi nila realize ang tao na even the ordinary one del cruise in the street, pag bumili ka
paying
ng,
taxes.
kumain ka ng hopya, or just to simplify, no?
Bumili ka ng sapatos.
Bumili ka ng sapatos, may VAT yan eh.
Value-added tax.
Value-added tax.
Automatic na.
And that is part of this money, trillions of money, that is being called now pork barrel na divide lang among themselves.
Yes.
You know?
Now,
Like
Mr.
ako,
Yeah.
I'm really nagagalit. I'm really angry with the pork barrel because, you know, I have this experience for 3 years. I was feeding around 200 poorest of the poor, homeless people. They are near UST. And I had a hard time raising, you know, every week I had to raise 305,000 pesos to feed these people.
Saan
And
po kayo kumuha ng pera?
From my friends. You know, I had
Private,
to, private people.
individuals.
And finally, I had to give it up and give it to a foundation because I keep asking the same people, you know, only my friends are the ones giving me the money. So finally, I said, and of course, I wanted to focus on Tanggulang Demokrasya. So I gave it up after 3 years of doing it.
You said 305,000 pesos a week.
Yes, only.
And if you think about the amount of money that's being talked about
exactly.
na
Kaya
the billions
nakakagalit.
lying
Tinamkam.
around.
Oo.
na inaswang sa laban ng bayan, di ba?
Oo. And then we had to, we had to control the crowd. Kasi ang dami-dami talang gustong kumain and once a week lang yon. And then, here, ang dami na pala nating pera. We're so rich pala. Tapos,
Napupunta
pupunta lang
ibang,
sa mga,
ibang...
Pero may pera pa ba? Kasi nga itong sa
Malampalaya?
Bohol. Sa Bohol. People are begging for
Food.
Where's the relief? That's
Food
true. I
and
mean, social media and the news, there's a wash
where is this
reports.
pork barrel na natanggap ng congressman dun sa Bohol na dapat na ilagay niya
sa
din
kanila.
sa mga tao, no?
And imagine, you know, the Senate, they gave only an allocation of 6 million. Imagine.
What happened to the 200 million per senator?
Yeah.
Baril nila yung 6 million.
Oo.
Kaya nga where's the money now? No? Yung malampayan, di ba sabi nila, it's intact, but where is it? Where is the money now? Tinatanong ng tao, where's the money? Intact. There should be billions there.
Yes,
But
yes.
where is it now?
Yes. And okay, this pork barrel problem, as I mentioned, it started from the first Aquino administration, Countryside Development Fund. Parang now the abuse has become so much more. I mean, even back then, people were saying that, okay, 10% maybe, 20% maybe of the CDF was being, you know, diverted elsewhere.
Yeah.
What is the difference now?
No, it's
Yes.
100%. You know,
Well,
and it's terrible because in the past administration, I think the last pork barrel that was allocated was only more than 7 billion. But when this new administration came in, they raised it to like 22 billion, and every year another 24 billion, and now much more.
So what you're saying is that it's on record really that the amount of pork barrel, which really comes from the executive department, has been increased so much
Yes.
compared to the time of former President
Yes,
Arroyo.
yes. It was the last one in 2009 was only, or 2010 maybe, was only like 7.8 billion. But the next budget, it was already 22 billion.
So where's that money going? That's what's that's what
exactly.
people should
Exactly.
ask, no?
Where are the schoolhouses that are supposed to be built? No, the roads that have been should have been cemented. Nakakatawa on television. They showed a barrio road na talagang muddy and it's not even paved, not a single
Yeah, 200
cement,
million
no?
yung
And yet,
in Batangas.
na-disburse na yung pera. Saan napunta yung pera, hindi ba?
So, I mean, there's a lot of heat now on the congressmen and the senators. But, one has to point out that really there is also complicity on the part of the executive because they're the ones who approve the disbursements.
Precisely. And I feel that the leaders, like the president, he was also a former congressman and
Three-term
senator.
congressman, yes,
I
and
think he
one-term
should also
senator.
be more transparent and be the leader that he thinks he is.
In what sense, Madam?
By telling us or showing us how he spent his pork barrel when he was a congressman and when he was a senator.
Yeah.
I think it's only right that he should do that.
Should
And to
be,
show an
no.
example,
Yeah,
as an
yeah.
example.
Total, sabi naman niya, it has always been his mantra, daang matuwid.
Yes.
This and then
Exactly.
kung walang kurap, walang mahirap. So really, I mean, that should be a step in the right direction.
Pero yung survey, sabi maraming mahirap. Ibig sabihin, mas marami ng kurap ngayon. Kasi sabi ng survey, mas marami daw mahirap ngayon.
Yes.
Kung walang kurap, walang mahirap. Kung maraming mahirap, mas maraming kurap.
Which is true, actually.
Yeah.
Which is true. Because now you're saying that down to the barangay level, ang corruption, no? Grabe ang corruption.
How do you gauge now the people's reaction to this, to all of this? How come, okay, there was a million-man march, 200,000, at most 300,000 people came.
Yeah, about
There was a million-man
300,000.
march in Ayala, I think
Yeah.
20,000 people came.
Yeah.
Bakit ganun? Bakit wala yung groundswell? There's not that critical mass that should be happening. How come it hasn't happened?
Well, people are cynical that something will happen out of this scam. No? Na moro-moro lang. No? Because people feel that it is not just the opposition, but all parties are involved, even the departments of government like public highways, education, health are involved, no? And then even DBM and COA are involved. Because as you said, no matter what Napoles did, maski magsasayaw siya sa mga congressmen and senators na yan, kung ayaw ng senador, ayaw ng congressman, maski 5 lang makukuha si Napoles.
Ayaw ng DBM.
Kung hindi payagan ng DBM, maski 5 lang makukuha si Napoles.
So why is all the heat on her?
Kung hindi aproba ng COA,
Yes.
hindi maski 5 lang makukuha si Napoles. No? So talagang, it is so wide ang corruption that people are saying, walang mangyayari dito. Because if something will happen in this particular issue now, the government will
Lahat
collapse.
kasali.
Yes.
Pangkukolapse ang gobyerno. Because
All of
tatamaan
them.
lahat eh.
Yeah.
Tatamaan lahat.
What is
All
the
of
feeling
them.
of tanggulang demokrasya?
We
Ms.
feel
Kilaito?
that everybody's involved.
Define everyone.
That's why, lahat ng politicians, that's why I've lost faith in the electoral process, so I'm not voting anymore. I'm not.
Para ke?
Para ke pa. Because it's the people that they want who will come out, yung mga kapartido ng president. Like for instance, the president, their group, when they were campaign before 2010, they were against the PICOS. But many of them, nang nanalo na si presidente, kept quiet. So kami naman, we took up the ball, we got the issue and continued. But they were quiet when in fact they were the first one who were complaining before the 2010.
Yes.
Just because the beneficiary is their candidate, mali yun. Kailangan when you pick up an issue,
Regardless of your friend or your foe.
Yes, you have to continue and see it to its final conclusion.
Yes.
So ngayon, yun ang ginagawa namin.
Did your group participate in the rally, in the Million Man
Yeah, we did.
March?
We were there. Yun naman sa Million March, kaya maraming pumunta because they really, at the time, talagang fresh pa yung anger
Yeah,
ng mga
yeah.
tao. So they were there. Even if Kaya yung presidente nagagalit, bakit daw siya tinatawag na
Pork
pork
barrel
barrel king? Siya nagbibigay ng pera eh. Siyempre, ikaw yung pig na kung saan nanggagaling lahat ng mga piglets. Ano?
And diba, as the system works, DBM really approves the pork barrel allocations or requests. So, kung walang approval ng DBM, wala na lalabas.
Exactly.
At saka nadagdagan pa yung DAP. Yung DAP na yon na sabi is supposed to
Spur
be
the economy.
Spur the economy, economic stimulus. Bakit papadaan mo sa senators? And supposed to be, ang implementation ng development should come from the executive.
Yes.
Hindi sa, they're supposed to make rules, the senators, but
Yan,
laws, I mean.
Tsaka yung DAP na, nobody knew about that, hindi ba? Pork barrel lang, alam natin, yung PDAF lang.
Nabulgar lang nung ilabas ni Senator Estrada,
Ni
Jingo Estrada.
All of a sudden,
Meron pa ng DAP.
Pero pala.
Oo. Na ang laki-laki rin ng amount, no?
Yes.
I mean, where is the transparency here? Kailangan bang may magbulgar para ilabas ng gobyerno lahat ng mga funds na yan, no? Tapos yung walang paya nga, nilabas nila yan, kaya lang ngayon pinag-uusapan. Otherwise, hindi rin malalaman ng tao na ganyan pala kalaki ang fund na yan, na every year na kinukolekta at dinidisburse where we don't know how, we don't know where. No?
Yes, and as Ms. Kilaika was saying, transparency really is the key here. That's
Exactly.
why Ms. President Aquino should really come out and, as you said, from the start, tell us what you did with your own pork barrel. And let's
Yes.
see, and then let's go from there.
If he's really the leader that he says he is for transparency at saka daang matuwid,
Good
dapat
government.
unang-una siya ang show kung saan niya nilagay or na-spend yung mga pork barrel niya when he was congressman and senator.
You
It's
know,
only right.
Why I'm so disappointed and frustrated with the president now. Kasi I want to see him angry. The way he was very vocal about seeing to it that GMA is convicted and Justice Corona is impeached. No? Talagang he was very vocal about it. He was pushing for it. He was in the papers and in television talking about it. No?
Ayun nga yung nakatawa. Saan yung galit?
And yet ito, where?
Yes.
No anger. No? I mean, dapat I hope I would hear him one day say, I want ombudsman, I want within 100 days cases are filed. No, hindi lang apat, kundi as many as you can. Yung ganun dapat, no?
Bakit walang ganon, Mr. Alvarez?
Hindi.
Bakit nga wala?
He's so...
Dapat nga ganon. It would be a natural
At
thing
saka
for him to
special
do.
treatment pa kay Janet Napoles. Saan ka nakakita?
Where's the anger? Yun ang hinahanap ko, yung anger na, at saka yung kanyang, yung puwersa ng kanyang pagka-presidency na ginamit niya doon sa Corona and GMA impeachment, no? Which I don't see at all,
Yes.
no?
Ms. Kilaika, is your group optimistic that anything will happen to, with this case, with all these exposés, that justice will be served?
From what we see that's happening, parang walang mangyari. So I think it should be the people who should really demand. Dapat yung galit, tuloy-tuloy. We should not let this thing die down. Dapat continue with mga lahat ng klaseng reklamo.
Yes.
Pero parang nagwi-wane eh. Yan ang fear ko kasi parang nagwi-wane
Alam mo po,
nga.
sakit po ng Pilipino yan eh.
Oo nga
Talagang
eh.
may pagkaningas hugon talaga. Sad to say, may pagkaningas hugon na ating
Merong
mga
example,
kababayan.
di ba, yung kay Marcos, diba, galit na galit ang mga Pilipino noon. Yung PCGG was supposed to run after the Marcos hidden wealth. But ano nangyari? I mean, PCG can show only very little of what they were able to recover.
Yes.
No? And yet, the Marcoses are now being elected governor, congresswoman, senator.
Yes.
Di ba? So, it may happen again in this particular case.
Yes. Mr. Alvarez, Ms. Kilaika, we have to pause for a break, and I think former Congresswoman Wilfredo Villarama is joining us. But before we go, in behalf of Tanggulong Demokrasya, Ms. Kilaika, do you want to say something to the audience?
Well, yung appeal ko lang to our people is that, we continue with whatever good that we are doing because I think it's time to rethink our values that God is telling us something with all these calamities that's happening to us. Maybe we should do our part in being good citizens, because alam mo, we can have all the good laws and rules, but if us as citizens, we don't do our part, wala din mangyari. So dapat tuloy-tuloy yung mga reklamo, yung telling our leaders to do the right thing for us, to be more transparent, and of course, with all the calamities, to try to help our fellow men.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, Mr. Alvarez. We have a pause for a break, but guys, don't go away because more of Reflections on the State of the Nation when Philippines Uncut returns.
Better shape up. Imagine, never unheard of before yung mga avalanche, yung mga land, yung landslide. And now, in north of Luzon, in Mindanao, landslide, Why? Because man is denuding the forest.
Yes, yes.
So, talagang, what you mentioned are all natural as well as man-made calamities. Sino may kasalanan? Tao.
Yes,
Tao.
yes.
So, God is telling us something here.
Yes. Ms. Kilay, on your end, you're the chairperson of Tanggulang Demokrasya. Ano po what is Tanggulang Demokrasya about?
Tanggulang Demokrasya, as the name implies, means defense of democracy. So our vision is we are people, we group together, people who passionately love their country, and it's actually a coalition of different groups.
Rasha, good evening. Ms. Kilay, welcome to Philippines Uncut.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. And joining her is someone who's been on the show before, Mr. Danilo Olivares, a co-chairman of the Movement Against Political Dynasties, or MAD. Let's get mad. Good evening, Mr. Olivares. Welcome to Philippines Uncut.
Yes.
Okay, so the start of the program, we showed some very powerful images of what happened in Bohol. And really talaga nakakayak ko yung nangyari sa Bohol dahil nasira talaga yung ating maraming cultural heritage ang nasira doon po. Ano pong inyong mga reflection tungkol sa nangyari sa Bohol po?
Well, you summarized it very well, Buddy, yung mga floods and typhoons, earthquake, churches, century-old churches being collapsing,
Nakakayak.
Ito siguro, I can see the hand of God here. God is telling us, hey, Filipinos, the only Christian, Catholic country in Asia.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunana. Now, in this show, we talk about everything under the sun. And tonight's show, entitled Reflections on the State of the Nation, we are going to talk about the situation in the country today. Now, in the last few months, the country has been hit by numerous successive major calamities, floods, typhoons, and the devastating earthquake that hit the Visayas region a few days ago. And also, political crises, starting with alleged election fraud, to the crisis in Zamboanga, to the crisis in South China Sea, and the biggest crisis of them all, the pork barrel controversy. Now, all these things put together are bringing many people to ask themselves questions like, where is the country going? What is going to happen to us? Why does it seem that fate seems to have it so bad for the Philippines? Joining us now are a couple of very distinguished guests to talk about this issue with us. First is a very distinguished lady, Ms. Evelyn Kilaykon. She's the chairperson of Tanggulang Democratic